Excited to have everybody. Again, this is the Collaboratory for Health Justice Research Assistantships information session. And this is what our night is going to look like tonight. We'll spend some time learning about the Collaboratory for Health Justice, and then you'll get an assistantships overview from someone from Human Resources who's joining us. And you'll also get to hear some reflections from current or past research assistants. And finally, we'll talk about some of the assistantships that we have open for this coming school year. So we're so glad to have everyone. As you can see, we are recording the session so we can put it up on the website after. We are also going to be sending it out to everyone who registered via email. And if you have questions throughout the night, please feel free to put them into the chat. And we have a couple people who are monitoring the chat. We'll also have time at the end for questions. Okay, so first, a little bit about the Collaboratory for Health Justice. We're a center within the office, or the Dean's office within the School of Public Health. And we work to enhance the reciprocal engagement between community organizations or community partners and UIC faculty, staff, and students. We're focused on connecting people to other people and people to resources. And we thought that this might be a good opportunity to do that, connect you all with more information about research assistantships. We are devoted to advancing towards health justice, and so our work is done in that mindset. We do have a few people here today from the Collaboratory, so if you're a Collaboratory staff member, feel free to give a wave. Everybody's very excited to have so many people join us tonight. And if you'd like to learn more about the Collaboratory for Health Justice, please visit our website. There you can see the current work that we're doing. You can see materials that we have. So even if you're not interested in a research assistantship with us, while you're in school or maybe you're outside of school, feel free to check out those materials and use any resources that are on there. And then, yeah, of course, feel free to learn more about each of our wonderful staff members too. Okay. And now I would like to introduce Vanessa Valenzuela from Human Resources, and she's going to give you an overview of research assistantships at UIC.
Thank you so much, Glenna. Thank you all for being here today, and thank you to all the Collaboratory members and everyone who helped put together this informational session, because it is so important that we provide this information to all of our students to make you more aware of what's out there and what's available to you. So just a little bit of an overview today. Glenna, can you go to the next slide, please? Just a little bit of an overview today. I will be going over the different types of assistantships that the university offers. That includes research assistantships, graduate assistantships, teaching assistantships, and then as well as grad hourly positions. Now, the different types of assistantships are a little bit different in regards to duties, but they're not limited to particular duties. So for example, research assistantships are mainly with research practices, graduate assistantships focus more on administrative functions, and teaching assistantships are more focused on the teaching and instructional services. While graduate hourly positions, they kind of focus on all varies of the assistantships as well. But first off, so an assistantship, they do carry stipends. So what is a stipend? That means that you do get paid for all of your hard work. And all of our assistantships provide a stipend monthly. So you do get paid monthly versus our grad hourly positions where you are paid on an hourly basis. Now, our assistantships also carry tuition waivers. And aside from your experience, I think that obviously a tuition waiver is a great is a great addition to assistantships. In order for you to be eligible for a tuition waiver, your assistantship must be between 25 and 67% FTE. I will go over a little bit more of what an FTE is and the percentages themselves in a little bit, but I definitely just do want to make everyone aware that it is to receive a tuition waiver, you must be between those percentages. The only difference between an assistantship and a grad hourly position is that a grad hourly position does not offer a tuition waiver. Now, a lot of times you might have a question. Let's say you're looking to apply for a research assistantship and you're looking to apply for a teaching assistantship, right? They're two different positions. Can you have both? Yes, you can. As long as you don't exceed the 67% through the semester, you may have two positions at the same time, yet you will only be able to receive a tuition waiver from one of those positions. So you wouldn't be able to receive a tuition waiver for both. Another difference between the assistantships is that our graduate assistantships and our teaching assistantships are unionized. And to get a little bit more information on our GOE agreement, you may look at our HR website for more information. So once again, what is an FTE, right? As you've heard me kind of say it here and there. Well, an FTE is a full-time equivalency or a percentage of appointment, which means we base it on a 40-hour work week. So for example, let's say you do receive a research assistantship for 25% FTE. That means that it is 25% of 40 hours, which means 10 hours per week. So if you are receiving an assistantship for 25% FTE, that means you are looking to work 10 hours per week. Now, and that goes the same for 50% FTE, that's 20 hours per week, and so forth. Now, students, as mentioned, you have the limit to work up to 67% to not jeopardize your tuition waiver. You may work above those hours, but if you do go over the 67%, keep in mind that you might jeopardize your tuition waiver. So it is advisable that you stick between the 25 to 67% at all times. So that means that you may not exceed or should not exceed the 26.8 hours per week. Now, it's a little bit different for international students because international students may not exceed 50% FTE, which means you may not exceed 20 hours per week. But for more information on international students, you may visit the OIS website as well, as they will have and be able to provide a little bit more information on those limitations for you. Now, you may go on to the next slide, Jenna. Thank you. So what makes you eligible for an assistantship? Well, if you're a current or incoming graduate student, that pretty much makes you eligible. Yet there are a few restrictions, which means that you will have to maintain a limited number of credit hours through the semester. And so for the majority of programs, the limit is 8, or the minimum is 8, but there are some programs that require more or less, but for the majority of programs, you will have to maintain 8 credit hours through the semester to be eligible for an assistantship. And then for the summer, it's a little bit different because our summer term is a little bit shorter. You are only required to maintain 3 credit hours through the summer if you'd like to receive a tuition waiver. Now, sometimes students do get a little bit confused because let's say you're not looking to receive a tuition waiver through the summer. If that's the case, then there is no minimum requirement on credit hours through the summer. It's only if you are looking to receive a tuition waiver through the summer that you have to maintain those 3 credit hour courses. Now, some of our term dates, so as mentioned prior, we have 3 different term dates. We have the fall, the spring, and the summer. And so our fall term dates are typically from August 16 to December 31st. Our spring terms are usually January 1st to May 15th, and then our summer term is from May 16th through August 15th. Now, these dates are not exact. They may vary depending on, you know, your availability or the terms that you come to with your hiring department, but typically they do fall within those date ranges. And so just to keep in mind, these dates, in order for you to receive a tuition waiver as an assistant, you will need to maintain your assistantship at least 91 calendar days through that term. So for example, let's say you start on August 16th and you ended, let's say 60 days in between that, then there might be you might be in conjunction with not receiving that tuition waiver. So you must be within the RAship or GAship, you must maintain those 91 calendar days to receive that tuition waiver. And that also is similar with the summer term. You must maintain that RAship or TAship for 41 calendar days to be eligible.
Vanessa, I see a question in the chat.
Sure.
Stephanie asks, how common is it for first-year students to secure an assistantship? Can you speak on that?
You know, it really varies because we, as a university wide, we have different colleges, and so it really varies. But honestly, we encourage every single student to look at our job board or to kind of ask around and see if there's any research assistantships, graduate assistantships. For the most part, most colleges do post it up on their job board. So we certainly encourage all students to apply to anything that's available, just because it's not only great exposure, but it's great experience, you know, in the long run and in your time while you're still studying. So yes. I hope that answers your question, but it's very, you know, it's very broad campus wide. Next slide, please. Great. So one of the other things, I also mentioned this in my previous slide, so stipends, right? So a stipend is pretty much the amount that you get paid for your work. And so assistantships do carry a monthly stipend. Rates are set each year, and you may find the selected rates on our website through this link. And so assistantships, as mentioned, are paid on a monthly basis. Your pay period would begin on the 16th of every month and extend to the 15th of the end of that month. And obviously you would be paid on the 16th of the following month, right? But let's say, for instance, you don't start on August 18th and you start on August 23rd. Well, that monthly stipend will be prorated to the number of days worked throughout that month. So you won't necessarily get the total stipend for that month if you didn't work the entire month completely. And also, I know I previously mentioned grad hourly positions. So grad hourly positions are paid on a hourly basis, and grad hourly positions are paid bi-weekly. Since it is a hourly basis position, you do need to submit a timesheet every 2 weeks. And once hired as a graduate hourly, more information is given to you on how to do so. But aside from all of the stipends and the pay, you are always able to view any earning statements through My UI Info. And so this is, I included the link here for My UI Info, but My UI Info is honestly a great location to be able to view not only your earning statements, but you are able to change your address, change your direct deposit information. You're also able to change anything on your W-2 or anything of that sort. So I would definitely encourage just to kind of look at that side, just to kind of see what changes you're able to make and what's available to you as well.
Vanessa, there was another question in the chat, which a couple people answered, but you might want to speak on too, is if research assistantships can be remote?
Yes, research assistantships may be remote. It just really varies on the department. So as of right now, as we all know, we're coming back from a very different time, right? And so right now, the university is working with a certain percentage of your time being remote, a certain percentage of your time being in campus, but that does vary with every assistantship and every single department as well. So that's more of a question for your supervisors and as well as that.
Thank you. Sure.
And then Glenna, to the last slide, please. I just wanted to provide a few other helpful links here. As many times we might have a bunch of questions and we don't know where to go to or who to contact, right? So if you are looking to get an assistantship or you have an assistantship and you have more of these questions, a great resource for tuition waiver questions is money@uic.edu. So for example, let's say you start an assistantship and you are a week into your semester, and for some reason you don't see that tuition waiver apply on your account, send money@uic.edu an email and just let them know that it hasn't applied on your account, and they should be able to let you know whether they're still working on it, whether they're behind, or whether it's about to apply. Campus Care, this is health benefits for all students, but then also with your graduate assistantship, you do get these healthcare benefits through Campus Care. So I just wanted to provide that link for Campus Care as well, if you have any questions on that. Previously mentioned for the unionized graduate assistantships and teaching assistantships that are part of the union, you may look at the labor agreement or contract on our website if you have any particular questions on that. For any payroll and benefits questions, you may email our benefits and our payroll and benefits department. And one of the things I would certainly advise every single one of you to look and just kind of look at it as a resource is the graduate handbook. So all of the information that I've provided to you today is on the graduate handbook and more. I've pretty much gave you a little bit of an overview, but there is much more great information on the handbook that you might be able to get if you have any particular questions. But aside from that, if you have any other questions whatsoever, you may always go ahead and send us an email at the UIC HR Help Desk. Aside from that, I can always help in being a resource and answering any questions that you might have as well. So once again, before I give the opportunity for any more questions, I do want to encourage every single one of you to once again look at our job board. I know that the team will be providing you the link to the job board later on, but then also ask around and just keep your eye out for any assistantships because the opportunities are there and they're just waiting for you.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. And I put in the chat that I can vouch for that because you are always so helpful and quick to answer questions. So you are so appreciated. There were a couple questions that popped up in the chat. Let's see. So Becca asked, I may have missed this, but if we already work an hourly position through the university or university system, can we also get a separate assistantship with a tuition waiver or stipend? If yes, would both hours count towards the 25 to 67% time or just the assistantship?
So if you currently have an assistantship, let's say it's a 25% assistantship, then yes, you may have another assistantship for another 25% or the remaining amount that would not exceed you for the 67%. For example, there are a lot of students that have 2 assistantships and have a grad hourly position. How that works is they work one assistantship at 25, the other assistantship at 25, and then they work a grad hourly not exceeding 6 hours per week. So you just have to keep in mind that you may not exceed the 26.8 hours per week to not jeopardize your tuition waiver. I know that may seem a little bit complicated, but you do have the option to have separate assistantships. The only thing is you will only receive one tuition waiver with the assistantship. So you can't have two, but you won't receive two separate tuition waivers. It will just be one.
Thank you. And Candace asked, also Becca, let us know if that answered your question, but Candace asked, let's see, I am sure it will be touched on, but how do these affect taxes, especially for non-Illinois residents?
Yes, so for taxes, that is something that you would have to go through our payroll and benefits department. So as a university, we're very wide, it's very different, depending on, it can depend in a variety of things, you know, your location, whether you're international, whether you're, you currently live in the United States, but elsewhere. So there's a lot of different implications with taxes. I would definitely advise either reaching out to the UIC help desk, to the payroll and benefits department, or you can certainly, send me a quick email and I can direct you to, specifically to where you can get more information on that as well.
Sorry, a couple more questions came in.
Sure.
How much does the tuition waiver cover? Does it vary based on FTE percentage worked weekly?
So the FTE the FTE, the tuition waiver covers up to $5,250 that are not tax deductible. After that amount, anything is tax deductible. So as mentioned, you will only get that certain amount, you only get one tuition waiver. So in essence, you will only have to pay for the taxes that are not covered by the $5,250.
Thank you. Becca, does that also answer your question? Candace, yeah, she says yes. Okay, Candace also says, is this based on in-state tuition?
This is based on overall tuition.
Vanessa, I know something that I was wondering coming in was for the tuition waiver, I guess like what's not covered by the tuition waiver that students would still be responsible for?
Yes, so what is not covered by the tuition waiver, and let me just, there's a few things that are not covered by the tuition waiver, and let me just pull up my quick note.
Thank you so much.
Sure. So a few things that are not covered. Let me see. Okay, so the tuition waiver does include the tuition, right? Fees, service fees, health service fees, academic facility maintenance fund fees, library and technology assessments, and campus care. What it does not include are general fees, CTA transportation fees, student-to-student fees, sustainability fees, and the remaining cost of healthcare insurance that is not covered by the tuition waiver, or that is not covered by campus care. So those are pretty much what it does cover and what it doesn't. I know that some of these you might have a little bit more might have a few more questions on what each represents or what each is. But as mentioned prior, I would definitely advise looking at the graduate handbook, as all of this is kind of pinpointed and kind of broken down into what is covered and what isn't.
And I see another question from Hannah. I was just wondering how, if at all, this information differs for undergraduate students.
Graduate student, it is slightly different. As our graduate, right now we're actually transitioning from our undergrad. We have an undergrad, a student services department that kind of takes care of the hiring for all undergraduate students. But right now we're in transition that we will be doing all of the hiring going forward for undergraduates as well. But if you are an undergraduate student, feel free to contact me if you have any particular questions in regard to any of the positions available or positions that you're looking into. And as mentioned, I can certainly direct you to the correct person with those questions.
I think that was the last question in the chat. Oh, Ms. Brittany asks, is the stipend one set dollar amount monthly?
Yes, the stipend is a one set dollar amount. So for example, right now for our assistantships, our stipend monthly is $1,145.28. That is equivalent to $26.43 per hour, as same as our graduate hourly positions. So that is a current stipend. As mentioned, these stipends are updated every year. Right now, the labor contract is currently being under review, so that may change. But as of right now, we still stand at the same stipend. But I would certainly encourage to look at our website for the stipend updates. Those should, if there are any updates whatsoever, they will be updated on our system as well.
Thank you. I think that, are there any other questions? I'll stop talking and turn it over to Glenna.
Well, really, thank you so much, Vanessa. You have invaluable information, and I know you just answered so many questions, so thank you. And everyone, if you do have questions, you can feel free to put them into the chat still, and we can either send them along to Vanessa after this session tonight, or of course, you can always email Vanessa as well. Kindly put her email right here. So,
yes,
so
definitely
much,
encourage you to, no, thank you all so much again for being here. Thank you all for putting this together. And as mentioned, feel free to send me an email if you have any questions whatsoever. But then again, I encourage all of you to keep an eye out for all those opportunities that may be available to you. So thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa. Okay. Well, I know you just got a lot of information, and what we're going to do now is hear from some research assistants who have had experience in Collaboratory for Public Health, or I'm sorry, Collaboratory for Health Justice. And first, I would like to ask Daisy if she would be willing to share some reflections of how her experience as an RA was and some takeaways.
Thank you, Glenda. So hi, everyone. My name is Daisy Magana. I am currently the Engagement Core Coordinator for the Community Core Engagement Core at CHJ. So I am currently working. I graduated this past semester from UIC. So, but before that, on my first year, I had a grad hourly position with the EP department with Dr. Persky. And then I transitioned to working with Dr. Jenny as a grad hourly. We did a lot of work in the southeast side of, because I live around the southeast side, so I was already involved in some of the movements that were happening. And so I was able to get a position as a grad hourly student, and we did some work there. That was really interesting. What I liked about working with professors was that you get all this information that they're teaching you in class, and you're able to apply it. And you go out there and you're able to make this connection. It's not only about getting all this information in the classroom or getting all this teaching and this knowledge, but actually going into the community, applying it, developing stuff. We were able to publish the Calumet Corridor book, which was sent to the city for revision, etc. So I think all these RAs opportunities give you opportunities, not only for research, but also to sharpen your skills that you're learning in classes. So to answer Becca's question too, Becca, I had a grad hourly position, and last year I also had an assistantship, an RAship. So I was able to manage that. So if you're interested in that, it's totally possible to do that. And currently I like the project so much that I was working on. So I just wanted to transition with Dr. Jenny and also with Dr. Belonis, because I'm working on another different project, totally different from the Collaboratory. But if you like it so much, I liked it so much that I did not want to leave UIC. So I stayed in UIC. So I don't know if you have any questions, but one of the things that I'm gonna say, when I entered UIC, I was a little bit shy in my classes, but then I opened up, and I think a lot of that had to do with you wanting to learn more. Is that how you get involved in and know about also about this RAships and things that are research that are happening in your communities or around Chicago? That would be one thing that I would suggest everybody to do, like be involved in your school and your community. And that's a way how you could learn about all the research that's going on.
Thank you so much, Daisy. And I think you brought up a really good point also, in that no matter what your area of study at UIC and even at the School of Public Health, you can get an assistantship and look for assistantships across UIC. So for instance, if you are an epidemiology and biostatistics student within the School of Public Health, you could look for and get an assistantship that's in community health sciences or environmental health sciences. So be aware that, yeah, you can kind of like broaden your scope also to other areas that you're interested in. And as Daisy said, keep finding other interesting things to work on. Thank you so much, Daisy. So I think what we'll do too is we'll ask a couple other RAs to speak. And if people have questions about the general RA experience, feel free to put them into the chat. But thank you so much, Daisy. Really appreciate you sharing. And now I think we'll have Myra Diaz.
Yes, hello, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. My name is Myra, and I am currently serving as an RA for the Collaboratory. Specifically, I am working under the Chicago Contact Tracing Project. It's a grant with the city where we basically help support the community-based organizations that are currently doing the contact tracing work in the city of Chicago. So I've been in that position since December of 2020. And I've been able to gain a lot of really great experience thus far. Just to name a couple of the different projects that I've done so far, I've helped to develop a resource hub, which is basically just identifying resources throughout the city and connecting the contact tracers with those resources so that they can be able to help members of the community that they assist. Some other projects I've done, researching different educational resources that would be a benefit to our contact tracers, so that can kind of help enhance the work that they're doing. Specifically, the most recent project I helped with was our Citizen Scientist program, a really awesome program. We were able to teach our contact tracers different research skills that they might one day be able to use in the work that they do, even beyond COVID. So that was a really, really awesome experience. As far as previous skills that helped me in being able to do the work that I do as an RA, prior to that, I did a lot of work in the community, specifically in the Little Village area, working with CBOs there, involved in some community organizing work, and just getting really familiar with what some of the issues, public health issues were taking place in that neighborhood. I think that combined with all of the stuff that I was learning in class really helped me to be able to kind of make connections and apply that to what I'm doing now. I also come from a social work background, so that also was very helpful for me. But yeah, that's kind of a bit about my experience. And if anyone has questions and wants to reach out to me after this, please feel free to reach out.
Thank you so much, Myra. And I'm glad that you also kind of focused on the skills that you had coming in to your program and how those have been really helpful to you. So thank you so much. And it's great to work with you. And now we'll have Conchetta speak about her experience too.
Hi, everybody. It's so cool to see so many people on this call. My name is Conchetta. My pronouns are she, her. And I currently have a research assistantship with the Chicago Contact Tracing Project. I worked with Myra, as she's talking a lot on the resource hub. And I also help out with the Collaboratory for Health Justice. So I'll talk a little bit more about the projects that I've worked on, but just to give you a little background on who I am. I'm a second-year MPH student in the Division of Community Health Sciences, and prior to UIC, I worked on the project management team for statewide healthcare research projects at The Ohio State. And that's where I met Dr. Jenny, and I had reached, so someone was asking about, can you get an assistantship your first year? And you definitely can. I started off by, when I got accepted, I started off applying over the summer to like pretty much anything that looked relevant that I could think of. Eventually I reached back out to Dr. Jenny and just reminded her, like, I'd met her in a workshop that she had done at Ohio State, and I'd remember some of the projects that she was on, and I just set up an informational interview. And we had worked out, and I was lucky enough to kind of come at the right timing with a grant, kind of like right now. We have a lot of good openings right now. So I applied and it worked out. But yeah, being able to kind of reach out and learn a bit about the projects to show how it would be a good fit and why you're interested is always really great for getting in the door right away. If you're a first year student, I'll say that after my first semester, once you have some classes, teachers will often put it on Blackboard if the projects that they're working on are having openings, or if they have some work that they need done, and then you can always coordinate with your professors that way. So there's always opportunities. You can look on the job board, but also just kind of keeping in tune with classes and stuff. Lots and lots of opportunities. So yeah, and part of that, I have a political science background. I studied political science with a minor in human rights and journalism at the University of Dayton. So public health wasn't originally something I knew much about until I started working in the field, and I really enjoyed it. So I decided to come here and get my MPH. I've really liked the community health sciences program, so welcome to anybody who might be incoming. Yeah, so the past semester and over the summer, I've had a 25% appointment. So as Vanessa has mentioned, that's 10 hours. It's really seamless. Applying the tuition waiver is really seamless. Getting your stipend is really seamless. Applying for healthcare is really seamless. I was very impressed with all of that, and Vanessa's a great help. She'll be your #1 if you choose to be in one of these appointments. Of course, I started last October, which was right in the middle of the pandemic. All classes were online. So it was really great to have this research assistantship. The team is great for anybody who's looking to apply, both on the Collaboratory side and on the Chicago Contact Tracing Core. You really can't go wrong. We've always had a weekly team meeting. Everyone's been very supportive. And some of the projects that I've been able to work on, kind of like Myra has said, it was really nice to be able to apply the things that I was working on in class with like a real life, real time project. Like I've mentioned, I've worked on state level projects, but working with the city of Chicago is honestly just like working with the state because it is such a massive organization. So that's been really interesting watching for anybody who's interested in working at the state level or working in a health department. These types of projects are really useful for getting insight on that. Yeah, so the resource hub, and then I also spent some time working on a podcast. So there's a lot of room for creativity here. There's obviously things on these projects that will be assigned, and you'll always be given things if you're not sure what to do. But I had liked the idea of doing a podcast in order to help with creating avenues for understanding different public health careers for the resource navigators and for the contact tracers. So I was able to interview a few people and start putting together this podcast that people could use as a resource. I think it's under construction right now in terms of where it's posted, but I'm sure that'll be on the Collaboratory later. And so you guys, I think even public health students will be able to check it out in the future. Or if you're part of this project and you're interested, maybe next semester we can work on that together and do some interviews. So I think that's a lot of what I've worked on. But again, if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to me, Conchetta, Rita, Rita3. I'd be happy to talk to you about anything about the process of applying, or just like in terms of my experience. Obviously, there's a lot of good people on here too that are more official than I am, or just the types of projects that I've participated in and give you kind of an insider view. Or I would just love to get to know you. So anyway.
And Conchetta, somebody asked, what's the name of the podcast? Or how could someone find it?
That's what I do. It's on Spotify if you search the Collaboratory for Health Justice. So, although I might actually need to be reposted, so we'll send out an announcement maybe when it gets up there.
And there's one other question also. This is for anyone to speak on, but do you all ever find it difficult not to go over your weekly hours?
I personally had not struggled with that, but I will say that I feel like I can speak for all of us when I say that our supervisor, Melissa, and the faculty are super, super flexible. Like, they are super supportive of us, and they understand that like school comes first. So if there ever was an issue with hours, or maybe needing to take a break one week if you have like a big project that week, or anything like that, they've always, been very supportive and made sure to, help us out, whether it's working less hours that week or maybe taking away some projects. So I personally feel like if that ever became an issue, like it wouldn't be an issue because they've just been super helpful in that sense.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you
this
so
also,
much.
oh yeah, thanks Myra. And I wanted to add on to that because this also reminds me of something we were discussing earlier today. There's, for those who are interested, there's also opportunities to work over Christmas break or over summer break or over spring break that would not otherwise be part of that hourly time since we're students, we have off. Yeah, but that was pretty seamless as well because that's like a secondary type of an appointment that you can get. Yeah, so 25%, 10 hours a week, that's really easy just to manage, I think, and I think they pretty much keep within the hours that you're appointed over the week, unless you discuss, but like throughout the semester, there were times where Jenny had said, oh, well, there might be an opportunity to work 20 hours. Is anybody interested? And you could kind of volunteer ad hoc as needed. So.
Thanks, Conchetta.
Yeah, I would also say that there are times that you could work, like not have the set hours from Monday to Friday, but also do works weekends if there is jobs that you do not need to be in the office, or you could do that work on your computer. So you could be a little bit more flexible too.
Yeah, and because, I mean, Daisy, Myra, and Conchetta are able to speak about their experiences with the Collaboratory and have had other work outside of the Collaboratory, but so much is dependent on your position, who you're working with, the projects you're working on, the tasks that you're doing. So what we would recommend is that, I mean, in our experience, I guess, when you just speaking with your supervisor or asking those questions during an interview, but being sure that you can communicate, especially, yes, an RAship is so important. So are your studies. So finding some balance can be a challenge, but can be worked out. Anyone else from the Collaboratory have any insight on that?
I was just going to add a couple of thoughts. One, I mean, some of this was covered, but like, I don't want to work over 40 hours. So I don't want anybody working over, the amount of hours that they're signed up for. So definitely like, if anyone, as Myra was saying, if someone felt like they, had too much going on, like that would be a conversation, and we'll make sure that gets addressed because school is the most important thing. That's why you're actually here. And then in terms of needing a day off, I don't know if I could speak for everyone in the Collaboratory, but you just tell me when you're taking off and then go enjoy your time off. And you will not hear from me while you're on vacation. So we are very pro vacation and self-care on this team.
And Mel's a great supervisor as well. All right, thank you everyone. If you have other questions, all of these questions are fantastic. And as I mentioned at the beginning, this is the first time we're hosting this session. And so your questions really help us kind of figure out what people are interested in learning so we can improve for another session we do like this. And now I'm gonna go back to presentation. And now that we've heard, oh, well, actually we have one more reflection from a fantastic RA. This is Io, and Io has just passed her dissertation. So she's a doctoral candidate within community health sciences, and she has been an RA with Collaboratory for Health Justice for the past year. And she says, CHJ, Collaboratory for Health Justice, has given me the opportunity to apply the theoretical skills I learned from class. As a community scientist, I've had the opportunity to work with community members and provide real life solutions through CHJ. If you're thinking of gaining a strong, relevant work ethics while also schooling, then CHJ is the right place to be. I've really had a great time. And Io's fantastic. So, but like we said, feel free to put in any questions into the chat and we can get to them at the end or even follow up with you. So now we will jump into current research assistantship opportunities, and following hearing about the job descriptions, we will also show you some different tips for searching for an assistantship. So just to be clear, these next few job descriptions are research assistantships within the Collaboratory for Health Justice. And again, we are a center in the School of Public Health. There are many different research centers in the School of Public Health, as well as in UIC across the campus, in the different colleges and schools. So we're one of those centers, and although we're focused on community engagement and reciprocal engagement between UIC and the community, there are a lot of other centers that have different focuses. So we'll present our positions and then also give you the opportunity to see how we might go about searching for an assistantship elsewhere, okay? And first we have the application process and hiring process. When we send out the PowerPoint after this session tonight to all of the registrants, we will also be attaching our job descriptions. So once you get those, you can read through them. If something interests you and you feel like you'd be a good fit, go ahead, follow the link, and you can submit your resume and your letter of interest there. Once we get them, we start reviewing them on a rolling basis, and we will reach out to you no matter what. So if we decide to interview you, if we've decided not to interview you, then you will definitely hear from us. So if you haven't heard, it's not because like we're never going to contact you. We want to make sure not to leave people hanging. We know people are looking for different positions, possibly applying to many different positions. So once we interview you, if we were to hire you, then we would contact Vanessa, and Vanessa, who was just here from Human Resources, she would email you and kind of guide you through the next steps, which has to do with those like tax forms, possibly background checks. If you're new to the university, you've never worked in a research assistantship before, then you'll have to do some new hire paperwork, which everybody, like she would lead you step by step through that. And if you were to get a position at a different place, not within the Collaboratory for Health Justice, there would be a human resources person within that setting who would do the same thing. And one note also, you'll see in our job descriptions that not all of them are, so some positions are, we're looking for people as soon as possible, whereas other positions we're not hiring until the fall. So don't be discouraged if you don't hear from us within a couple weeks, because that just means that we haven't yet started reviewing those applications. Okay, so who should apply? Sometimes you might wonder, like, I have a different kind of background. I'm new to public health. Possibly you've had public health experience before. You're wondering if you've had community engagement experience. This is just, this little word cloud here is an example of all of the different backgrounds, interests, previous work of everyone who works within the Collaboratory for Health Justice. So you can see that we represent a wide range of expertise, of skills, of knowledge, and that's also who we're looking for. And even if you are not looking for a research assistantship specifically within the Collaboratory for Health Justice, we really encourage you to think of all of the skills and the knowledge that you're coming in with, or if you're a current student that you already have. Anything you come in with is just as valuable as any of the skills that you learn at the School of Public Health or whatever program it is you're studying. So do know that all of your skills, all of your experiences would absolutely add value to different positions. Someone asked in the chat earlier if, do you need data analysis skills to apply for positions for RAships? And every single RAship is different. We will look at some of the different tasks involved in our positions, but in general, there are things out there for everyone. And there's different types of skills. People are looking for different types of skills. And do remember too that these RAships or assistantships or grad hourlies, all of these positions are also training positions for you. So, I mean, we can definitely speak for ourselves, and I think for most others, where you should not be expected to know exactly how you do everything with your job. We're not expecting you to come in as an expert on all of these tasks. It's also our responsibility, and wherever you're working, it's their responsibility to also train you and teach you how to apply the skills that you're learning in class as well. Okay. All right, so the Collaboratory, we have 2 positions open for the Collaboratory itself. And one position is for providing support, technical assistance, that's reciprocal between community organizations and the Collaboratory. So this position would be looking at like what are community partners' needs, how can we use university resources to support them and make them more sustainable. This would be 10 hours a week, working from home, and as well as maybe there's some work you would do on campus. All of these positions you'll hear about today are being hired for the fall and the spring semesters. And for these ones specifically, take a look at the bottom. For all of the job descriptions, I've pulled out the different information you might want to know in little snippets. So we're really looking for anyone undergrad, grad, doctoral, in any related field to public health. So the other position we have open for the Collaboratory is the Youth Citizen Science Program. And Amanda, I know we're like running short on time. Do you want to speak just for about 30 seconds about your experience as a participant within the Youth Citizen Science Program so far?
Yeah, I can. Hi, everybody. I'm Amanda Montgomery. I'm also a second year MPH student within Community Health Sciences, and I'm doing my APE this summer with the Citizen Science Project. And it's super, super fun. It's working with youth or young adults. Some of them are still in high school and then some are like more college age, but they're learning how to like use research skills. So a lot of like data analysis and data collection skills, but through a social justice lens. So it's also like, not only is it thinking critically about social justice issues in your community and like having the youth build programs or research projects that are important to them, but it's also like thinking critically about the way that we use research skills and the types of data that we collect, and thinking about how we can like transform those and make those more community-based rather than more like collegiate, I guess.
Thank you so much, Amanda. And so we will send out the job description for this and all the others following this presentation. Daisy, I know you wanted to speak on both transformation and also the CEC.
So for the transformation, I'm actually working with Glenna and Elise, who's are in the session. We are working with a transformation project. So we are part of the community input track. And what we're looking for is for students who could assist us in designing discussion guides, participating in all the focus group sessions. And one of the important things is that we need students who can take detailed note taking. They're going to be helping us with the data structuring and the analysis that we're going to be doing once we start conducting these focus groups. And you're going to be working directly with me, Glenna, Elise, and also with some of our professors. So this is, and then, yeah, we have one position open for that. No, you're fine. And then for CHJ, for the community engagement core, we're also looking for a person who's going to help us in designing community engagement mechanism, but also someone who's going to help us in the translation of data, infographic, creating a social media platforms, or using Facebook, for instance. Also, this person is going to be working together with the community. So we would like to have somebody who has like community engagement background, that has done some work with the community. This person is also going to be working from home, but also attending meetings or activities that are going to be happening in the communities.
Thank you, Daisy.
Oh man, 1 minute, so much pressure.
I know.
Hi everyone, I'm Melissa. I'm the Shy Tracing Project Coordinator. I'm gonna try to do this quickly, but I'm gonna stumble over my words now. But we have a lot of positions open with Shy Tracing. So as Myra and Conchetta described, Shy Tracing, we work with it's the community-based contact tracing effort that was funded by the city of Chicago, or CDPH. And UIC is one of those partners supporting those organizations and individuals that are doing this work. The CBOs are located in the communities that were hardest hit by COVID-19, and a lot of the folks that were employed to do contact tracing through those organizations had hardships in terms of finding employment in the past. So the goal of this project is both mitigating the spread of COVID-19, but also building community capacity to address health inequities moving forward, creating job opportunities, et cetera. So we have a lot of positions. I won't go through all of this, but pretty similar to some of the other RA positions, note taking, attending meetings, supporting partners, all types of stuff with Shy Tracing. I think what we've learned in this past year is we thought that we would be doing mostly one thing, but as things have changed, we've shifted our work. So we were originally doing a lot of contact tracing related stuff. Now the core is doing vaccine education, et cetera. So I think a good candidate for this position would be someone who is really flexible and jumping in and trying new things. I put on here that we do want someone with some Stata or SAS experience, because we do think that with this being the second year, there'll be a lot of opportunity for like data analysis stuff. But I don't even have those skills. So if you don't have those skills, please still apply, because not every one of our RAs will need to do that. I mean, I rebuke the statistical stuff. I cannot. So please don't let that prevent you from applying and saying, if you'd be interested in working with us. Again, this will be work from home, 25%, so 10 hours a week. Most likely we will have someone start on August 15th, just given the amount of time it takes for things to get processed. I think you all have gifts and expertise that you bring. So, if you're first year, if everyone, please apply. I will stop there. I'm over by 2 minutes.
I was just putting yes in the chat, because everybody apply. You have skills and knowledge that positions need. And please, I know we're running over on time, but we do have this slide in here. When we send it out in the email, please look at these links. These are places where you can also look for assistantships, listservs that you can sign up for and get emailed opportunities like assistantships. And then also, it may be hard for some people. I know I'm more shy, but at the beginning of the semester, do try to introduce yourself to your professors. As Daisy was saying, the more that you talk to people, the more you'll learn about what's going on here, and the more opportunities you'll be available, or you'll be aware of. And don't forget the talents and skills you bring with you. Here's the UIC job board. There's a grad assistant section so you can see different assistantships across the campus. And that's all that we have. I'm so sorry that we ran over time. If you need to leave now, we understand, and thank you for coming. We didn't expect to have such a fantastic turnout, so we really appreciate everyone. If you have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. And yeah, just want to say thank you to everyone. I also have a few minutes to stay after, so if people have questions that are lingering, please feel free to stay behind and ask some questions or put them in the chat. And you're welcome to people who said thank you. We're glad it was helpful. We hope so. And good luck wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Good luck with it. Okay.
And if to answer your question, yes, our RA positions for shy tracing are 25%, 10 hours.